He wasn't even supposed to survive, let alone stand on that stage. Standing shoulder to shoulder with finalists Jessica Sanchez and Chris Turner, Jordan Blue gripped the moment with quiet intensity. The Dolby Theater pulsed with energy, thousands of eyes fixed on the three contestants who had outlasted every singer, dancer, and dreamer. When host Terry Crews finally announced the third-place winner, the room tensed, then exploded. Jordan Blue, second runner-up. Gasps, applause, bitter smiles. Some were surprised, others proud. But for those who knew his story, Jordan had already won far more than a trophy. The truth is, he wasn't supposed to be here at all, not on this stage, not alive. Jordan's life, by every harsh measure, should have ended years ago in silence and anonymity. But fate, and something deeper, kept him moving. This wasn't just the culmination of a talent competition, it was a collision of tragedy and triumph, grit and grace. While the confetti wasn't for him that night, the spotlight absolutely was. And in that moment, the world saw not just a finalist, but a survivor who refused to disappear. From a structured home to the chaos of the streets, it all unraveled fast. Jordan Blue was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, into a household defined by order. His father was a respected lawyer, his mother a dedicated police officer. Expectations were sky high. Education, discipline, and achievement weren't optional, they were the blueprint. But from a young age, something in Jordan pulled in a different direction. While his parents laid down the law, Jordan was soaking in melodies. His mother sang gospel in church. His father had a habit of humming tunes in grocery aisles. Music wasn't a distraction, it was inheritance. By high school, his talent was impossible to ignore. Landing the lead in The Little Mermaid was his first taste of the stage's rush. But brilliance can be double-edged. Jordan was sharp, but rebellious. He started skipping steps, skipping classes, pushing boundaries. One wrong turn led to another. Expelled in 10th grade. Academic dreams detoured. He clawed his way back, graduating top of his class at a military school, enrolling in college at just 16. On paper, he was back on track, but in his heart, law wasn't it. Music was. So he did the unthinkable, walked away from the future his parents had designed. He jumped without a safety net and landed in a world far colder than he ever expected. Rock bottom didn't just hurt, it erased his identity. At just 16, Jordan found himself without a home, without income, and without direction. Friends' couches turned into temporary shelters, then vanished altogether. With nowhere else to turn, he began sleeping inside the bathroom stalls of the restaurant where he worked, using public space as personal sanctuary. Each night was a silent war between exhaustion and despair. Gone was the boy with straight A potential. In his place stood a ghost, hiding from the world, holding on to music like a lifeline. To numb the growing pain, he turned to substances. The grip of addiction didn't arrive loudly. It crept in slowly, then consumed him entirely. The Jordan who once sang in school musicals was now a teenager surviving by instinct, floating through days with a fogged mind and an aching soul. This wasn't teenage rebellion anymore, it was survival mode. Forgotten by the world, far from the life his parents imagined, he fell into a darkness that nearly swallowed him whole. But just when the silence seemed permanent, a phone call, past midnight, broke through. No lectures, no questions, just, "You're coming home." When Jordan's grandfather called that night, he wasn't angry, just heartbroken. "Why didn't you call me sooner?" he asked. Hours later, he was on the road, tracking down his grandson in the middle of the night. And when he found him, he didn't offer judgment, just a seat in the car and a new beginning. "You stay with me now," he said. That unconditional love became the anchor Jordan desperately needed. In his grandfather's home, there were no speeches, just support. There was music again, too. Not the trending songs of the moment, but old favorites, songs filled with warmth, history, and soul. At first, Jordan didn't love the music itself, but he loved the way his grandfather's eyes lit up with each note. And slowly, something stirred. The noise in his mind began to quiet. The rhythms reminded him who he was. Music wasn't just art, it was therapy. His grandfather didn't just save him from the streets, he reconnected him to the one thing that had always been his salvation. It wasn't an overnight change, but it was the beginning of a rebuild, note by note. They thought he was gone. The next day, he woke up breathing. Even with his grandfather's support, the shadows hadn't disappeared. At 18, Jordan's addiction took one final, terrifying turn. A night of reckless choices ended with him unconscious. His friends convinced he had passed. They left him behind, thinking it was over. The next morning, Jordan opened his eyes. Weak, confused, alive. "You were gone," someone told him. "It's a miracle you're still here." That moment, the brush with death, wasn't a wake-up call. It was a siren. Jordan knew if he didn't change everything right then, there wouldn't be another second chance. He quit cold turkey. No rehabs, no staged interventions, just sheer will. The process nearly broke him. Withdrawal wasn't kind. But somewhere in the pain, he found resolve. Life wasn't just something he wanted again. It was something he owed to the people who hadn't given up on him. And then came a new reason to fight. His son, Jax. Fatherhood wasn't in the plan, but neither was surviving. Suddenly, the stakes were higher. And music? It was no longer a hobby. It became the only way to provide. He sang for strangers, but he was really singing to survive. After surviving addiction and embracing fatherhood, Jordan didn't chase record deals. He chased rent. He chased diapers. He chased dignity. With no studio, no budget, and no formal stage, he turned the sidewalks of Bourbon Street into his concert hall. Armed with a microphone powered by a car battery and lungs full of passion, Jordan sang through the sticky Louisiana nights from 8 p.m. to 3 in the morning. Tourists would glance, pause, and slowly gather. At first, it was just noise to them, but then his voice cut through the party air like thunder in the summer. He didn't just perform, he connected. Each lyric felt like it had a heartbeat. He wasn't there for tips. He was there because music was the only thing he had left that was worth anything. Night after night, the crowd grew. His phone, once silent, started buzzing. Strangers filmed him. Clips of the soulful street guy with the golden voice went viral. Millions started asking, "Who is this? Where did he come from?" But amid that rise, danger lurked. On New Year's Day 2025, a truck plowed through a crowd on the exact block Jordan usually sang. 14 people died. Jordan wasn't there. He was home, recovering from the flu. A twist of fate spared him again. It was time to step off the sidewalk and back onto the big stage. He failed on Idol, but came back to AGT not as a contestant, as a survivor. Back in 2022, Jordan auditioned for American Idol. He had the talent, the story, the charisma, but he didn't make it, cut before the top 24. Most people would have seen that as the end of the dream, but Jordan saw it as a test. He didn't spiral, he strengthened. When he returned to the stage 3 years later, this time for America's Got Talent, he wasn't just another singer chasing a moment. He was a man who had been through something, who had something to say. His song of choice? Break Even by The Script, a heartbreak anthem. But in Jordan's voice, it wasn't just a song, it was a confession. "I'm still alive, but I'm barely breathing" wasn't metaphor, it was memory. His performance was raw, cracked in all the right places, every note soaked in experience. The crowd felt it, the judges felt it. Howie Mandel really felt it. He slammed the golden buzzer without hesitation. As the golden confetti poured down, Jordan didn't smile. He collapsed to his knees, overwhelmed, humbled, and shaken. This wasn't about fame. This was about validation. Jordan Blue had arrived, not just as a voice, but as a force. Every lyric he sang was a scar, every performance a battle cry. Jordan's journey through AGT wasn't smooth. Behind the glamour of national television, he was still fighting battles, this time with his body. During the live shows, he was hit with a brutal case of food poisoning. Producers offered him a way out: use a rehearsal cut for the performance, safer, easier. But Jordan refused. He insisted on singing live, weak, aching, but determined, because he wasn't about shortcuts anymore. Every song he chose throughout the season wasn't just strategic, it was autobiographical. In the semifinals, he performed Stargazing, a hopeful anthem about looking beyond pain. In the finals, he sang Unsteady, a haunting track that perfectly mirrored his turbulent past. And for his final act, he sang Break Even again, but this time as a duet with Danny O'Donoghue, the original vocalist from the script. The very song that had kept him alive on the streets was now being sung alongside the man who wrote it, on live television. Full circle. No trophy could compete with that kind of victory. Jordan didn't just sing songs, he lived them. And in doing so, he reminded millions that music isn't just performance, it's perseverance. When the final AGT results were announced, some fans were stunned. Jordan Blue finished third. But if you looked at his face in that moment, you didn't see disappointment, you saw peace. Because while the judges handed the trophy to someone else, life had already handed Jordan something better, a platform. Danny from the script didn't just sing with him, he made him an offer live on air, a spot on tour. The man who once slept in bathrooms would now travel across cities singing on professional stages, not sidewalks. And suddenly, everything made sense. Every sleepless night, every moment of shame, every time he wanted to give up. It had led to this. Jordan Blue now had more than a voice. He had a mission, a responsibility to show others like him that pain isn't the end of the story, that darkness doesn't have to win. He didn't just get a job, he got a calling. And from that moment forward, Jordan made it clear. His next chapter would be written not in gold trophies, but in impact. Today, Jordan Blue is more than a former AGT finalist. He's a voice for the forgotten. He's using his platform to dream beyond the charts. He's working toward launching a foundation for homeless youth, building safe spaces for kids like he once was. He also hopes to create a music festival focused on mental health, where healing is as important as harmony. But beyond all the plans and ambitions, Jordan remains grounded. He's still the father who sings lullabies to his son Jax, still the grandson who remembers one man's midnight rescue, still the teenager who once stood on a cracked sidewalk and turned pain into melody. The world often celebrates perfection, but Jordan is living proof that brokenness can be beautiful. His story isn't polished, it's powerful. And in every song he sings, in every crowd he moves, in every hand he holds, he's reminding us that survival is the greatest kind of art, because sometimes the most unforgettable voices are the ones that weren't supposed to be heard at all.